All right. Hey, Jason. So please tell people about your movie Sharp Corner. Will it be an interesting and different cinematic experience for them, do you think?
I definitely think it's a different cinematic experience. It's sort of a interesting blend between dark comedy, very dark comedy, and psychological thriller, and it sort of rides that line between those two genres.
Very true. And it's based on a short story. So please tell me about finding that, stumbling upon it, and then making a feature film out of it.
Yeah, well, the story was in a collection by Russell Wengerski called Whirlaway that was nominated for the Giller Prize, I believe, back in about 2010. And I came across it and I felt like this is a great high concept hook for a movie. And it gave me the opportunity to explore something about, sort of deeper character stuff. I was interested in obsession at the time. And so it gave me this great sort of jumping off point.
Lovely. And what would you say the key changes or key developments you made to this story were?
Well, I imposed like a three-act structure because the story, for those who have seen the movie, Ben Foster plays Josh, and there's a scene early on in the movie where he's at the dinner table and he's entertaining his guests by telling them about this fatal car accident that happens on the first night that they arrive at their house, and the character that is the character in that scene is pretty much the character from my perspective that Russell wrote. But then I wanted to take it a little bit further, and I wanted the character to develop a savior complex, and he's the first responder because they live in a very remote area, and the firefighters and the paramedics, it takes them about 10 minutes to get there, and he realizes those 10 minutes are a crucial 10 minutes, and he can maybe insinuate himself in these accidents and perhaps save a person.
Geez. So when it comes to cinema, I think of David Cronenberg's Crash. I think of the recent French movie Titan. I think of Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof, and I think about your film Sharp Corner as a subgenre car sex movies. What do you think of that?
uh well, I saw Titan. Obviously that movie came out after I had developed this film. I appreciate that film. Crash I'd seen many, many years ago, and again, I appreciate that film. But for me, like my influences were more sort of in the vein of Taxi Driver and American Beauty in a way. Like those are sort of like Taxi Driver meets American Beauty is sort of like, you know, that's sort of where my sort of focus was as a filmmaker.
Okay, how did you become interested in obsession? Do you see yourself at all in this material?
Yeah, I do actually. I was at the time when I started this story, and I was coming off of my first feature film and wanted to explore my own obsession as a writer, which chasing perfection, which isn't a fun thing, and it comes out of perhaps maybe this feeling of not being good enough and just really, really having to write the perfect thing, and realizing that even when I put the work down at night, I would still be trying to solve problems in my head. And my daughter was young at the time, and I realized like I'm not really present at this dinner table because I'm in this sort of obsessive mindset about solving problems for this narrative that's in my head. And so when I came across Russell's story, I thought this was a great uh, template for me to explore obsession. So it was very personal in that way. Um, but the circumstances obviously were very different.
Yes, I'm sure they are. You mentioned your child. Tell me about working with a child actor on this film because it's quite downbeat. And what are some considerations you have to have as a director?
Well, myself and also Ben Foster and Colby Smulders, so like we had to be protective. We had to make sure that he felt safe. And the first time that Ben and Kobe arrived in Halifax, and William, who plays Max, the 6-year-old, arrived, we all went out to the house that we had built for, for the making of the movie. And Ben and Kobe just spent all afternoon playing with him. They both have kids, and so they understood the importance to bond with William, and it immediately made him feel part of a family. And that went a long way in terms of working with him and him feeling comfortable. He loved it. I mean, he was really sad when he wrapped his last day in Halifax. It was hard for him. He had a really good time.
Sounds like a special guy. What is the revelation of human nature from this film, do you believe?
She is. I don't know. I guess it's kind of a dark vision. For me, it's like a cautionary tale, and I think for me, what I'm trying to get at is the importance of personal responsibility and the importance of trying as best as we can to live examined lives so that we understand maybe what's going on with our shadow. And so what we don't make conscious can become very dangerous. It can manifest in dangerous ways. And that's what I was interested in exploring.
Ooh, our shadow, like the Jungian concept, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell people about that?
Well, I've always been interested in that, in this idea that if we don't like we have a duty to not only ourselves but to society to bring the best of ourselves forward. And if we chase external ideas about what we're supposed to do, I mean, in this movie, it's like, oh, I have the perfect wife, the perfect house, perfect family, perfect job, but yet I'm still not happy. Why? Well, because maybe you haven't explored what your true inner calling is, and maybe Josh would have been better served to be a paramedic, instead of working in IT.
Yeah, maybe. Um, some of the trance-inducing the trance-inducing quality of this film, I believe, is at least in part due to the score. Do you agree with me? Tell people about the score of this film.
Yeah, I do actually. I was very fortunate. We're a Canadian Irish co-production, and we needed to find somebody in Ireland. And I, looked at, I would say about eight to ten composers, and there was one composer that I felt like was the right person for the job, and that's Stephen McCune. And luckily, he was available and wanted to do the film, and he took a more unorthodox approach to the score and really aligned with our main character, who's a tragic character, and but he sort of built up a sort of a hero's journey score, which I thought was a bit subversive given where the movie goes. But it adds depth to the performance, to the character, and so but it also has elements of being a thriller. It has sort of a thriller sort of tonality to it. And so it has all of that. It creates this depth, and it sort of hints at where it's going, and it's almost like um the characters it's ahead of the character, and the character just needs to hear it and just sort of move in its direction in order to fulfill perhaps his destiny.
Lovely. Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time. Based on this experience, what kind of film do you want to make next?
Well, this film was very different than my first film, which was a realist drama, and I'm always interested in sort of exploring uh, new material and going in different directions. So it's sort of an open question. It's something that I'm exploring right now. So
Well, I can't wait to see it, and maybe I'll talk to you then.
yeah, yeah, sounds good.
All
Thanks
right.
for
Well, yeah, nice talking to you today. Bye now.
okay, bye.